for a while now, that could help us in our thought process about accountability, about authority, on those things. We don't want to take away that local control, but we do want to make sure that the large amount of money we send there is being spent appropriately and getting into classrooms and getting down to the things we want. And the same would be true of the grant management stuff that you've just talked about, because that is one. So are there things the legislature should be doing to help the department have a better understanding of what their responsibility?
Handle that I'll handle the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Smith Warner, Co-Chair Roblan, great question. One thing is a takeaway. I will go back to those audits and to the work paper. So you see this report, which is pretty thick, and Senator Taylor will notice there's about this much documents from the floor up supporting this work, or more. I don't even virtually. So we don't put it all in here. We've done some other benchmarking, and that was something, as I was talking to you offline up front, we're going to go through that. We did have some examples in the report. We cited the state of Colorado and their accreditation program. But what I'd like to do is really, and I'll let you, if there's anything in there that you can draw out of the report, but we didn't get deep in there. Partly, we've spent a lot of resources on this. We had to close it out, but it is so intriguing, and it is to Representative everybody's question here is how do we get to the state local control in a balance that has some accountability. And so I'll let Andrew talk a little bit of what's in the report, but what I'll commit to you is we'll go back and look at that, and maybe even look at if we can pull some more, find some hours to go do some research to look a little bit more deep into this dynamic and this paradigm. But can you at least in one of our reports?
Co-chairs, members of the committee, I'm not sure what the legislature can do statutorily, but I do have some ideas on what we can do in oversight. I suggest the legislature start paying close attention to the new accountability system, the new ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, making sure that the department is reporting to them the challenges they face in implementing that act, making sure that they have the tools and resources they need to be successful in that. Like I mentioned in what the report mentions, there's been a lot of starts and stops on some initiatives, and there isn't a lot of publicity that's being attributed to this thing that is supposed to be helping us improve. So that would be one suggestion. Another suggestion was to ensure most significant new initiatives and grants come with enough resources so that it can be properly evaluated, so that we can measure whether these things are working or not. The third piece, it's really, and I don't know where the legislature's role plays in the Division 22, but Division 22 is really the state standards for how districts should be running, right? So I would say that the state can take advantage of those Division 22s and use that as its method for kind of monitoring and overseeing, making sure that districts are doing the things that they're supposed to be. You did mention that right now it's just a checklist, and a lot of times we looked at several districts. A lot of it goes to its consent agenda and never makes the light of any board meeting. So providing enough resources for the department to really dive in and ensure that these things that districts are complying with these Division 22 rules. I'm not sure what the legislature's role is in reevaluating those, but someone should take a hard look at those to make sure are these things enforceable? Do they have any teeth behind them? What does it mean to be rigorous? Those kind of things that will help districts succeed.
And if I can just add to that, one thing, a root cause that we talk a little bit in the report, it's an audit I'd like to do in talking with Superintendent Gill, but the organization of ODE itself, it doesn't have the right governance structure. I think some of the things we pull, and I'm not saying it doesn't, I don't know, we haven't audited that, but from my experience, it's kind of convoluted and hard as an auditor, and we look at org charts all the time to figure out what fits where and who does what. So I think, part of enforcement is legal authority and negotiated authority and things like that, and we can look at that, but part of it is just who's on first and who's on second and what are they doing and all that kind of thing. So I think one thing we pointed out, and respectfully we push this out there and we don't have examples, but I'm going to say it, over legislating. Well intended, this problem, that problem, we want to fix that, not a comprehensive approach. Maybe we're creating this office for this issue and that for that, and then here we are 20 or 30 years later, and I think just a top to bottom governance, looking at and again, benchmarking other successful states, see what works out there. But I think that's part of it too, is how the department, we all know there's awesome employees at the Department of Education. They're one of our favorite clients to work with audit-wise. And you know, I think a general thing, and you know, I work for the Secretary as a conservative man. We're not about increasing the state workforce, but I think exactly what Andrew said, you got to make sure we're staffed properly at that enforcement level, because as you guys know, you can have all the laws, rules, and interpretation. If nobody's out there proactively doing anything about it, it doesn't matter. So I think that goes hand in hand, and something, again, we can talk to the committees going forward about how we can maybe add some information there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I actually have just a few questions.